One of the biggest problems in fly casting in general is that people cannot slow down, or that people can't feel the rod. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the relationship to this, and that occurs on all types of levels of casting skills. Because even the good and the great casters do every once in a while make shitty casts. You don't see them usually because they're all edited out, but believe me, they're there. And especially when the wind increases and the outside disturbance on the system gets greater, this is when control comes into play, and this is when you see the boys separating from the men on the water and the women from the girls. From the girls! Right. Let's dive a little bit deeper into that. And I told you already, the two biggest problems in casting are people either being too fast or people not being able to feel the rod. Why is that? And why does it also happen to you and to me whenever we screw a cast? Because if we could have felt the cast, we would have not screwed it, right? So our brain lost the control over the system before we were making that result, or while we were making that result, that cast, our brain did not get feedback over what we're doing. Because if it would have gotten feedback, that cast would have been executed well. Yes or no? So there must be a mechanism in the head to gain control over the system, or to switch that control mechanism on or off. Or why do you think people can learn how to ride a bike, for example? Or how do you learn stuff? Yeah. Or in fly casting, a great example, I think, is when you learn how to double haul. The first time, it's like, okay. But that thing I want to talk about is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the way how the brain starts to learn things and how new neuronal pathways are created in order to handle new tasks, to handle new new challenges, and to learn, just to improve, to move on, to adapt. Adapt was the word I was looking for. Sorry, English is not my mother tongue, and sometimes I still have to look for words. Because I'm also lost for words, because I'm so amazed by this new thinking. And now, back to the people always being too fast or not feeling the cast. Like Mel Krieger, the old Melly Melson, already says here in this book, the hardest thing to do is to learn and to teach people how to feel a fly rod. And one of my center core questions is, how do you feel a fly rod? And I still have no answer from anyone out there, from my dear valued subscribers, for these questions yet. And I am deliberately teasing you a little bit here because I need you to commit, or I would like to invite you to commit a little bit more to your casting practice and to find that out for yourself, because it is easier than you think to gain the control over the system. With a couple of tools of the positive reinforcement fly casting, for example. The rattle trigger will point you the way, and the fixed line anchor will give you the security, the safety on your weapon that a fly rod is. The reason, my friend, why people are always too fast and cannot feel the rod? That is a question we must follow. And that is the underlying fact of the why people are always too fast or why people can't feel the rod is that their mind is trying to protect them from having an accident with that fly rod and that line and from that cast not being executed correctly. So people are worried, anxious, afraid, or in panic. And if people are in panic, as in casting panic, you heard me talking about this phenomenon in earlier episodes. When people are in this casting panic mode, no, let me put it the other way around. When your mind is trying to protect you from an accident that might happen or will happen because you will get hooked, and like when you have that imprinted so hard that then your mind is automatically only protecting you all the time and will not make you let you feel that rod. Because it is very easy to feel a rod, in fact, but only if your mind lets you. And the control comes from the mind, is what Jason Borger says in his book here. But then, unfortunately, he only talks about the hand and the arm again, and not about the mind, because this is where the control happens. See, fly casting is totally easy. You only bend the rod along a straight line with a straight line and let her go. That's all. And that rod will unbend by itself and make that cast by itself totally easy going. But gravity and the potential of having an accident or of screwing the cast and the mindset that you never are allowed to even make a bad cast and the dogma of the tight loop, which is only the result that you're looking at, only reinforces that being worried of making a cast and that being in the panic stage of the whole thing. And if you don't believe me that, get your rod, get your line, make yourself a rattle trigger, get it on a fixed line anchor in combination, and play a little bit also with the other tools of the positive reinforcement fly casting. For example, the ribbons or the pendulum from Mani. If you're not going out to practice this, you will not experience how first-hand feedback, direct feedback works, because you have to work with your mind, on your mind, in a playful way first. Because the system of positive reinforcement casting or controlled process fly casting works so that you build the control from small steps into bigger steps, like you walk up a ladder. But you do that in a playful way without ever losing the control or hooking yourself or without having frustration. We avoid frustration with PRFC at all times. It's only play. Win without fighting is the first law of Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War. Think about that, and if you are not feeling your fly rod, and if you don't know how to feel a fly rod really, and I don't let the answer for that out because it shows very clearly that casting instruction so far is not looking in the right direction. And it is too output-oriented and not input-oriented. We here look after the input and we ask the important questions without shame, blame, or guilt. So, why are casters always too fast? Have you understood why that is? If you see casters that are too fast and uncontrolled with their movements, that means they cannot feel the rod and the line system. And if they cannot feel the rod and the line system, there is a strong possibility that the mind is in the wrong place and is protecting them instead of directly feedbacking them. If you want to know more, contact me at Coolcaster Official. Stay tuned to the channel, and I only have to say, please do not forget, we do not own the water. The water owns us.